Good morning, Farrah. How are you? Thank you for coming to the OC Chinese channel.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here today.
Thank you, thank you. And we all know you were like elected to the city council back to the year 2018, and with the most votes among the 12 candidates. So you became the first woman of color to be ever elected to the city council. That's really a great achievement. And we also know after the pandemic, this will be a very critical moment for the city of Irvine. So you stand up and running for the city of mayor, the position. So let me ask you, why do you think you're the right the leader at this time? And what is your vision of leading the city of Irvine?
Absolutely. So, our city deserves stable leadership that'll use not only innovation and technology to help us get through this pandemic and economic crisis. We need a mayor that is willing to listen to the community's concerns, someone who will take the time to understand what needs to be done and take the appropriate actions. And these are all things I have already been doing as a council member and will be amplified as a mayor. My vision for leading Irvine includes keeping our community healthy, maintaining our safest city ranking, supporting our residents and small businesses, working towards initiating new technology and resources to cut our costs and generate additional revenue, like the Community Choice Energy Program that I initiated, and really just being the voice of the people, a true representative of the public.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think that's very important, to be the mayor and to be really like have a lot of initiatives to be the voice of the people. And I actually my next question that during that this epidemic, and what kind of initiatives, have you come up with for the residents of Irvine?
Sure. Many people don't know this, but I was the one who initiated the conversation requiring masks and enforcing their use in our city. In addition, I received support from our community activists to urge the County Board of Supervisors to give our share of the business grants to help our small businesses. So we were able to receive $5 million, which we then distributed as $10,000 grants to our small businesses here in Irvine. And I was the one who made sure that we focused at least half of the $5 million to our restaurants and service businesses. That was very important for me to make sure because we were hearing all of our restaurants being shut down, dining in was closed, and they were the ones that were suffering the most. I also fought to make sure that we had $2 million of our state funding for our rent relief program, which has also helped about 1,800 families so far in our city. And when in national news, the coronavirus was being called the Chinese virus, I initiated the resolution against hate towards our Chinese and Asian American communities because I felt it was very important at the time for us to really focus on the pandemic and not bring side issues like hate incidents and hate violence into our community.
Well, thank you so much. I think that's there's some people that call like a Chinese virus or Kung Fu virus. That's
Yeah,
really kind of like a kind of hate speech, and we initiate a lot of hate crime towards the Chinese community. I really really appreciate
exactly.
for that initiative. Uh, so right now, even though we're still in the pandemic, but as people are talking about recovery and people want to recover and they want to move forward. So what will be your plans for the recovery, of the this epidemic?
So I'm already developing an economic revitalization committee that will focus its efforts on our recovery. I think that's very important as we move forward. We have to urge our Congress to release funding to the cities from the HEROES Act so that we can make sure that residents are having a hard time with their rent or mortgages are protected with relief funds. We have to make sure that we don't lose any more of our small businesses and are able to help them get back on their feet. And we have to work closely with our community partners to make sure we have the necessary funds to lift our city out of this pandemic. We're facing about a $22 million budget deficit, but at the same time, our city has done a tremendous job saving funds for our rainy day reserves. And so right now, when we're faced with this pandemic and this economic crisis, we need to make sure that we are not only seeking those federal grants, but also dipping into our reserves to help our community get back on track. And so this revitalization committee, which will consist of business partners, health experts, educational experts, and people from the community will really be the ones that'll drive us out of this pandemic. And that's exactly the first thing I did when the pandemic started, is I brought these community leaders together and I said, okay, this is what we're facing. How are we going to get out of this? And we made plans for the developers, for the business community, for the educational community, for the health services. And that's exactly what we're going to do when I'm mayor to help us get out of this pandemic.
Thank you. Yeah, that's I totally believe that we need a lot of plans, for the recovery, and that's very important for the city of Irvine. So we can really like continue, and so we can still continue developing our economy of the city of Irvine, and especially very important for the small business owners and for all the reasons I like. Yeah,
Right.
thank you. And I also know that historically you always have been a voice for the for the community, and so I'm just interested in that. Want to know that how have you been that voice for the people of Irvine?
Well, I actually started my journey into politics because I felt the community's voice was not being heard at the city leadership level.
Hmm.
I was at many city council meetings speaking up during public comments on issues that, I felt the community cared about. So I know that our residents deserve to not only be heard, but also have a strong representative that will look out for them. I was among the many parents that spoke up to convert our use of toxic pesticides to organic, making our parks and fields safe for use by our children and families. I was the one that worked with Irvine small businesses to help move an electrical substation from their business park to a more reasonable location. And I also worked with the community to make sure that the Rancho San Joaquin Golf Course and the RCI were not sold for more apartment buildings in an already developed village. These were all important factors where the community was speaking up, and I made sure that I was their voice. And I've created space for all our community members to be able to share their concerns through roundtable discussion groups. I think so far I've held about 20 such discussions, resulting in many ways that our city has improved,
Hmm.
including the most recent one. After the BLM protests in our city, I created a roundtable discussion with our Black and African American community members. And the first meeting we had was with our police chief. And out of that meeting, it was such a great opportunity to hear the concerns of the community. We were able to implement body cams for our police department. Um, and we are beginning a speaker series. That means we're working with UCI African American Studies program to bring in speakers that will be able to share their experiences or the experiences of the Black community members with our police officers so we can improve our services. Our services are great right now, but there's always room for improvement. And so that's where I think being a voice for the people is the reason that I first ran for office, and it's exactly why I'm running for mayor.
Got it. Got it. That's very important. I think our community needs a lot of people like you who can really like speak out and give the voice heard in the community. So that would be very, very the important for the whole community to work together. And I know you have been working with different a lot of communities. You always want to be a united voice for the different communities. And since we are kind of our audience, a lot of audience coming from the Chinese community. So can you talk with us a little bit about how you have been working with the Chinese community?
Absolutely. So I always hope to continue building bridges within our communities. I've been a strong supporter of the Chinese American Chamber of Commerce. I've attended many of their events, supported their scholarship programs. The Irvine Chinese School and the South Coast Chinese Cultural Center are areas where I've been many times to their events and supported them as well. And in addition, as I mentioned earlier, uh, introducing resolutions, especially in a time of hate towards the Chinese community, was so important. And for me to be the one to introduce it and get it passed, I felt that we needed more voices on the council that were going to stand up for our community members. In fact, I made sure that when I was connecting the Irvine Rotary Club, they were making face shields for the hospitals and they needed a location. I thought, what a great way for us to build bridges. I connected them with the Irvine Chinese School and they
Mm-hmm.
held their events there. And so then, we formed this bond with the Irvine Rotary Club and the Chinese school that is lasting till today. And so this is the type of opportunities that I hope to continue building is when there's a need or when there's a need for people to get together. that we're able to do that in the best way possible.
Wow, thank you so much. There's a lot of things. I mean, we Chinese community would love to work with the city mayor, city council, and work together to help the community, the getting the better and the better.
Right.
Okay, that's all the questions I have for you today. I really appreciate, and I just want to let people know that if you really want to support, volunteer, or do some of the fundraising for the Farrah, and you can always come to her website, which is farrahforirvine.com. It's a www.farrahforirvine, FARRAHIRVINE.com to get all her contact information and contact her for any support you want to put over there. And so I think we really appreciate you coming and really appreciate your time. And we'll also wish you all the best for your campaign, Farrah.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it.
Okay, God bless you. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.
Bye now.